set up our company here in 1986, so it's a fresh, brand new company. And we were all essentially, none of us were from the music business when we started. So we were, we didn't even know what it was. I was living in London, so I decided to move back to India and to join the company. And when we joined and set up this business, we began with actually our first big project that we did was A.R. Rahman's Maa Tujhe Salam, which was, I think, done at the time of India's independence in 1987 97 is when we released it. And since at that time I was handling marketing and the A&R function for our company, we had just taken baby steps into local music and Bollywood. Our first film that happened immediately after that was Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, which we did the music for. It was quite an exciting thing, and I ran marketing for 3 years, and then in 2002 is when I became the managing director for the company. And it's been quite an amazing ride, as you can imagine, because the music industry went through a huge turbulence in 2001 with the whole dot-com bust that happened. It happened in India. We went through that. Then again in 2008 we had a big bust. We saw that happening. So the best part is the business has been very cyclical. The business has changed constantly. We used to sell cassettes, and we moved to CDs, and we started to move to ringtones, and now we're in the streaming game. So it's a short span of maybe 15-16 years. The industry has gone through traumatic change, upheaval, and it's been constantly exciting and challenging. Behavior change that has actually led to people saying, hey, listen, I don't want to need to necessarily own music. I will just essentially pay a monthly fee and get access to the music as and when I want. And I have the library of the world's 27 million songs that I can choose whenever I want, wherever I want. And it's like your email. Do you know that you don't own your email? You think your Gmail account is on the cloud or wherever it is. It's not on your laptop, desktop, phone. Right? So it's the same concept. So streaming is essentially you move everything to the cloud, you access it through any device you want, wherever you want, on your phone, and essentially you either take the advertising pay or you pay the monthly subscription of 50 rupees or 100 rupees and you get on with life. So this is really, so the fundamental basis of this is a consumer and a technology shift that is making people move from ownership to rental. The same thing is happening if you look at companies like Airbnb, if you look at an Uber, they're all essentially the same concept. You don't need to own a car if you can essentially rent a ride, right? So this is really what they call the rental economy and the rental society, and streaming is one aspect of that. Now the beauty about streaming is in a market like India, yes, we suddenly have 800 million people who have phones where you can stream. Earlier we only had 40 million CD players, we had 60 million radio players, we had maybe 30 or maybe 70 million cassette players, but that's it. But we never had 800 million music devices, all of which can actually access the full song via the internet. So it's a very exciting time. I'm personally very bullish about where streaming is going to go across the board. I think the big question on streaming is it going to be ad supported, in the sense like television, which is largely advertising supported, or is it going to be consumer paid, that people are going to pay 100 rupees a month and there's going to be no advertising, they're going to have everything. So I think we're very early in that. I think this is the same Taylor Swift debate that you probably would have heard of and what's going to happen, etc. But that's a market is really going to evolve and come to some sort of a stable state. But I think the good part is consumers will essentially, I think to a large extent, want to rent rather than own. So we have two kinds of IPs, right? I think one of the IPs that we totally own and promote and effectively manage. That's one. So these are the ones that we do. But but what people don't talk about is we actually execute a number of IPs and help brands develop IPs that we then execute for them. Okay, say for example, I'll give 3 for example. As we speak, that Ray-Ban Never Hides Sound project, I don't know whether you ever caught it on MTV, there's a huge project. So there is a new band and a mentor concept, and it's huge. So they're pretty big guys from Ravi Dixit or all these guys. So there is entirely new bands are mentored by senior bands, and they compose a track. And that whole concept is then recorded into a TV show format, and their live tours, it's happened across 11 cities. So it's a huge thing for Ray-Ban. They do it worldwide, they do it in India. So we're doing it for them as we speak. This week, in fact, it's all going on. So this last week, we had 2 gigs in Hard Rock here and Hard Rock Pune, and it's now traveling across India. So we execute IPs for other people. We did the Sony headphones had this project called, Project Resound, which is really to show off the body of that. So that is something that we ideated and executed for them. So yes, so we do a lot of, so we have 2 kinds of IPs. IPs that we control and own and manage ourselves, and IPs that we execute for other brands. And it's not just executing IPs, we almost come in like a digital marketing agency for them because of our ability to write the right songs, have artist relationships, and being able to creatively execute something for a conventional brand who doesn't understand digital media or entertainment, or how to work with all of this and how to create fans, engagement, and conversation around their brands. So we come in and say, hey, listen, you can use music and you can use artists to help have better engagement. And if you are a pretty staid brand, you are stuck as to how do you do these things. So we have a pretty aggressive business on that side. So yes, that's the interest of our line. But I think if you ask me, are we interested in becoming purely a live company, and are we ever going to have a sunburn, and are we ever going to be doing like an OML which has a net 7? Are we a live company? We are not a live company. We have no intentions of being a live company. That's not our reason. Our reason is we are only in it for two things. We know how to work with artists. We build artist careers. Most live companies just book an artist for one show and move on. Our job is to stay committed to an artist. With Sanam Puri or with the Badshah, we'll take you from being a nobody to making you a hero. By putting you on stage once, that doesn't happen, right? So that's our purpose, is to make you a hero. That's the first thing we do. And the second thing we do is, therefore, we amass a lot of copyright in the process, and we sell copyright. So that's our core business. Currently, our market share in India is between 21 and 22% is what we are hitting, what we are sitting at. I think the biggest company, which is T-Series, sits at around 30%. That's their market share. We are at 20, we are the second biggest at 22. We are very clear that we want to be a minimum of 25 to 27% market share, so we're just going to keep going till we get there. So whether that means we're going to buy somebody, license somebody, partner somebody, we will do all of that. But we believe the market's going to grow quite dramatically in the next 3 to 5 years. Last couple of years is flat, but I think we're going to see another back on the back of cheap smartphones and better data connection and all of that. We're going to see a pretty big expansion of how much music people are going to consume. There's going to be a pretty hockey stick moment that happens, and when that happens, you want to be sitting you want to be sitting in a powerful position, because it's going to be more expensive to acquire market share after the market has grown than before it has grown. So we've stated that a number of times. We've said that for 3-4 years. In the last, I think, 4 years, we've doubled our market share. We used to be 10%, we're now up to 20%. So that's a rate that we want to keep going.